please make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe, or you can always find us on any of the podcast platforms, and that's Fostering Change. Well, you know what? It's so hard to believe that we are here at another episode of Fostering Change. The fact is that we are already the day before Valentine's Day. As you can see, I have my husband with me, Reece. This is very unusual. This is the only second time in 5 seasons that Reece has actually joined us. But I thought for this special episode, I really wanted Reece by my side, even though I know he's by my side every single day, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm doing a podcast, whether I'm on an interview. I've said this quite often, as I say in my memoir, Forever Family. He truly is my rock. But you know what? I really wanted to talk to our next guest. They've actually been on our show before. You've heard me talk about their book, Secrets of a Strong Couples. They've got another book out, which is Couples Journal, which I'm absolutely loving. But the reason I wanted to bring them on is because they have something in common that Reece and I have, and that is they've gone through adoption as well. And one of the things I really want to focus on, and as I say this all the time to our viewers and listeners, I want you to walk away with something that truly sparks you, something that can do that aha moment that, I didn't think about that. So without further ado, I would like to invite my amazing friend David and his beautiful wife Julie to Fostering Change. David and Julie, welcome to Fostering Change.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. And we apologize if anybody heard our golden retriever barking in the background. But that's
it's
just
part of our charm. We're happy to be here, and so is he, but he needs to be heard every now and again. But it's great to be back and see you guys. And as I mentioned, I'm really digging Reece's hat. So we'll have to talk about that afterwards.
He's definitely the fashion guy of the family. So, I want to dive right in. The fact is we're lucky enough to call both of you our friends. And so I listened to both of your podcasts. And by the way, everybody, if you want to listen to an amazing podcast, they can truly take away some strength. I would say definitely I'm going to have a link on here to go there. But I want to dive right in. Reece and I, we have adopted 5 children. And, they're all teenagers now. It's been an ebb and flow with each and every one of them. But I really want to talk about the fact of how we can talk to other parents who've adopted or who are fostering, and how do they keep that strength between couples? Because I think that's so, so important. Julie, what would you say about that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right on target. And I think, I'm a family therapist, and as a family therapist, a lot of times when people come into our offices, they come in with kid issues, right? And then sometimes we even do family work. And I really think that you need to start with the couple, because I think that the couple, when you're working with somebody as a partner, that is sort of what flows down, what creates a lot of the stability in the family. And so I think couples work is so important, and paying attention to your relationship is the work that David and I do as a family therapist and a divorce lawyer. So you're 100% right.
And as it relates specifically to, foster and adoptive parents, you guys know there's special issues, different issues that other couples don't deal with, both in terms of what their kids have to deal with, and then as a result of that, what as parents we have to address. And being on the same page, and it sounds good, Rob, right? We got to be on the same page, but it's a hell of a lot harder to get there than it is to talk about it in certain circumstances. And we certainly struggled with that on occasion with one of our kids.
Yeah. So, and what happens with the fact, as you can tell, I am more dominant than my husband, Reece. And so hopefully he'll say a couple of words, get a few words in today. But, I noticed that within our relationship in the last 15 years we've had our children, I do play that dominant role. And sometimes I'm worried that because I'm so dominant, that I quiet his voice.
Yeah, and absolutely that can happen. And because we know each other, and we interviewed you for one of our books, I saw that. And what was great is that I do think that although you have a stronger voice, a big personality, Rob, I think Reece brings so much to the table with some of the things that you struggle with, like family stability, like growing up in a different, in a different kind of household than you had, a different experience. So I think that you probably rely on him and really value what he comes to the table with in terms of, prior experiences of being in a family.
What struck me, about the interview that Julie did with you guys was that, and Reece, tell me if I'm wrong, but Reece gets the fact that Rob is a stronger, more vociferous type of personality, but a lot of what he had to say, what you had to say, Reece, during your discussion with Julie, and which ended up in our book, a lot of it, was very insightful, and I thought, and in listening to the interview, I thought, there were times, Rob, where you just sort of sat back and you took it in, and that is a credit to both of you. One, as Reece understands, there's a lot there. Rob sucks a lot of air out of the room, and but I think at the same time, Rob, you get that there is a space that he needs to fill, and you step away and let him fill it, or at least it appears to us that that's the case. What do you think, Reece?
Yeah, I would agree that the factor of my upbringing and background is completely different than his. And I was lucky to be raised in a loving home with two parents that were together for 55 years before my father passing. And to be able to bring that stability to our relationship, um, and have that as really as a foundation, I think that I can bring and help him so that we can build together upon
And we have, a sort of similar dynamic, not in that we were raised significantly differently, but that we came to, issues with regard to one of our kids, particularly, who had some significant behavioral and mental health issues, from a very different place. Julie comes at it from a therapeutic, much more knowledgeable place than I did. And I would come to those issues with this is what my gut tells me. And that did lead to conflict between the two of us that that was sometimes difficult to work our way through. And as the non-professional, right, where we've got the professional here saying she really needs this, she needs this, we need to talk about this medication or that, whatever it is. There were occasions that I stepped back when I wasn't quite sure I should, and frankly, that's probably a discussion that we'll continue to have for all of eternity. So I'm not quite sure, but it was a similar kind of thing that you're talking about, with different, coming to an issue from different places.
Yeah, one of the things I have to say by listening to your both of your podcasts, one of the things that Reese and I haven't done in 15 years is we haven't taken our time. We've, our entire last 15 years has been dedicated to our children, including my husband leaving his career to be a stay-at-home dad to raise our children. And just within the last year, we finally have started doing date nights. Really started to have conversations like we've never had before.
Mhm.
And I think that that's very important. And as our listeners and viewers hear this, they always think, oh my gosh, they got the perfect marriage. Well, actually, no, we don't. There'll be days that my husband will say, I love you, but I do not like you. And so is that very normal?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons why we did the podcast for Valentine's Day, Will We Still Be Together? Because we really wanted to highlight, like, this is not always the way we are, sitting next to each other, being kind and being respectful. I mean, we try to always be respectful, but there are times where, I feel really annoyed with him and he feels annoyed with me or bothered by me. But yes, relationships go through ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Sometimes you don't know if you're going to make it, or you don't know if you want to make it. And I think it's really important. But Rob, getting back to the point that you were saying, is that you've put, sort of 15 years on the back burner of you and Reese as a couple. I want to challenge you, because I think that you guys did carve out, and I asked you about this before. You carved out even little moments, even if they weren't great, long vacations or nice date nights out. I think you and Reese carved out a little bit of time in that 15 years to connect and to communicate. You have 5 kids all over the place, and my guess is that you did that. And that's what we encourage couples to do is doesn't have to be, standard date nights or standard sit down and conversations, but communicating and connecting together. I think you did that.
Wow. Yeah, I have to say, now that you're saying that, maybe it's the nights when we're just sitting there,
In our chairs.
yeah,
next to
sitting in
each
our
other.
chairs next to each
Mhm.
other. Kids are all upstairs because now they're teenagers and they don't want to talk to us. And so we do find that connection time. Reese and I are getting ready to celebrate 19 years next week. And I never in 1,000 can't believe he's put up with me for 19 years. But we're getting ready to celebrate 19 years next week. And our youngest son is a freshman in high school. And we're starting to have that conversation of when Tristan leaves, what do we want to do? And so we're on this stumbling block, and I want to ask both of you your opinion. My husband truly wants to get a beach house and be at the beach. He loves that kind of weather. He loves that laid back. I'm a city boy, and I want a condo in New York City, where I can go to the theater any night I want to. What do we do about something like that? Because that has been like a heated conversation within our house within the last several months.
You want to?
Well, I mean, both of those things sound excellent. So I'm wondering if you can, compromise and maybe get a little bit of both. I mean, you can, you love to travel, Rob. I see you're on a plane every other day. So, you could go back and forth. If Reese is at the beach and you want to be in New York for a weekend or whatever, I think you can work it out. I think there's
With-
compromise here.
Without getting into details of finances, right? You still have these kids, although they're not living with you full time, that you're still going to want to have a place for them to come to. And I don't know if you plan to keep where you are now, in addition to whatever this second place is, or whether you plan to fold that up and leave the farm that you're in and look to have another main location. But I would keep in mind that, and that's what ultimately led us to we were fortunate enough to get a place at the beach, because we wanted to have a place that the kids would come when they wanted to. And now we've got grandkids, and it was I was going to get an RV. I was all in for RVs. I'm going to drive all over the country like Matthew McConaughey. I'm going to sit back, put my feet up, have a bourbon. I'm going to empty out the dirty water, put all that stuff. And she's looking at me saying, "You're a Jewish man. You can't do that." But I think I could drive. I just need somebody else to do the tough stuff.
But he hates traffic
I
too.
don't like traffic. There's that too. But it has become sort of a place that everybody wants to come to. So without weighing in on should it be New York or should it be the beach, if we can't do both, I'm wondering if you put your heads together and say, okay, our kids are going to be in their 20s and they're going to be in their 30s and there's going to be grandkids.
Mhm.
Is it better to have this place in the city, or is it better to have a place that's more laid back at the beach? I don't know. That's something that you have to think about. And I would tell you that in terms of geography, if you're talking about, the Delaware shore, it's very easy to get to New York City one way or the other, back and forth from there. So it's not hard. It's not hard to do it.
So I want to sort of circle around this because we're talking about logistics of, how you compromise and how you do this. But the fact that you're coming together after being married for 19 years and you're sort of planning out your next stage is wonderful, because there's so many people that do what you do, have some kids, raise kids, put so much energy into it. And then they look at each other and they don't have anything in common. They don't even like each other anymore, and they fall out of love. And
Yeah,
that,
we talk about this, and I sort of use this malaise creep kind of phrase, but let me urge you, if you haven't already listened to it, listen to Billy Joel's new song, Turn the Lights Back On. And it is a metaphor for what we're talking about. Did I wait too long to turn the lights back on? And it's really, really introspective. His voice isn't what it was 30 years ago, but the lyrics are exactly what we're talking about today. Staying connected, keeping connected, making plans, thinking about it. Don't let it wait. Because if you do, is it too late? Did I wait too late? Is it too late to do what we wanted to do? So when we get off, I would say, cue that song up, stay where it's quiet, just listen to the lyrics. They're just awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
you
on Billy
will,
Joel's pay,
yeah. And you will work out this issue because you care about each other and you're still invested in the relationship.
Yeah, I love what you both just said because we've had this conversation quite often that, is the spark gone? And I think about, other adopted parents who I know and other parents who I know who are have been fostering for years. And it's very hard to keep that spark going and to make sure that, when the kids are gone and when you decide that you're no longer fostering or, you know, and you know what, David, I will tell you, I don't think I'll ever get rid of the farm because I do envision seeing my grandkids running back in the back
Well, there
pasture
you go.
with the big dog and so but Reece, what would you say if um Tristan, as I said, he's her baby. He's a freshman in high school. What do where do you see us? Like they just said, will they make it? They've got a podcast, everybody. They got a podcast dropping tomorrow. Will they be together next Valentine's Day? What do you say when you hear something like that?
Or Tristan
No, for
gone?
us, yeah. I mean, Tristan's a gone. Let's say,
Well, I think really we're just having to concentrate on us and where we want to be as a couple in the sense of taking, for instance, the you be in the city, me being at the beach kind of a thing. I mean, we've got to commit to the factor that we spend time with each other still with that. And to
well, that brings up a question for both of you, and as the fact is that I've made the comment to my husband that I love you deeply, but what is wrong with me living in the city, you living at the beach, and we meet up with each other every other weekend? Or do you consider that that is truly a marriage, or is that just a convenience?
Well, I mean, I think the question is, what do you two view it as, right? Um, um, it's it can be difficult, I think, because what happens, what I've seen happen, and you're not the first folks to think about this, right? I really prefer this, you prefer that, and Julie and I have a little bit of that, but not on a permanent basis. But what happens is, you start to develop relationships and a life in that place that your significant other does not, right? And so Reece is at the beach, hanging out with friends at the beach, doing what he does. The kids may come or not come, put them out of the equation for a second. And Rob, you're not there. And you're out, you're in the city, you're going to a party or you're seeing a show, and Reece isn't there. And I think, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and let's not forget that. And with that brings challenges, brings potential issues. So I think that if you both are on the same page about it and understand the risks, then I think it can work. But I'd be very careful about saying, okay, well, we'll just see each other every other weekend, or one weekend you'll come here, one weekend I'll go down there. Um, what's going to happen? Rob, you're down at the beach and your friend Joe is giving you a buzz, and when you coming back? We got this gallery we want to visit to, and Reece is not involved in that discussion. And you can think of scenarios on Reece's side of the fence. There's something going on, down at the bandstand in Rehoboth I want to get to, and my friends are going down there, and Rob's, well, I don't want to be with them. I want to be with you. And then, you've got these kind of things that pop up. So if that's something that you're thinking about, again, this is the non-therapist talking. Okay? So
Yeah,
I would certainly make sure we're on the same page and aware of these types of things.
yeah, no, I think David's correct, but I was going to say I think you can make it work with communication. And Rob, you travel a lot anyway, so there's a lot of times that
He's
you're
always coming back.
yeah, he is always coming back, but you would just have to make extra efforts and communicate about what you guys are doing and what you want, and again carve out the time that you do have together and make it
one,
great.
one thing that I look at in that is that I've always considered wherever I'm at is where all the kids are going to come to and come back to. And I mean, in some ways, I don't necessarily see them all trucking up to New York City, except for maybe a weekend or something like that. But
Yes, I think Rob, that Reece might be winning the
I
situation.
have a feeling that that's the way it normally is.
Location. I think the beach, you guys are so family oriented. I mean, anybody that does foster care and adopts 5 kids, kids are your heart. and you want the kids to be with you, even when they're grown, to come back.
Well, at the same time, lots of kids grow up in the city and love it.
That's true.
And are perfectly comfortable and happy and well adjusted. So I'm trying to bolster you a little bit there.
We love that. We love, you know, the fact is you guys wrote, Secrets of a Strong Couples. I keep this book with me. I love this book. I love the fact that you actually interviewed us for the book. But, I truly, remind all of our viewers and our listeners to definitely read this. But you guys just recently came out with the Couples Journal. And do as we're winding down, could we talk a little bit about the Couples Journal? Because I think this is a great start for people. And I say kick it off here on Valentine's Day. Get this Couples Journal. And I think it would be really interesting if the four of us got together again in a year from now and really talk about what we wrote in our journals. So do you mind, can you guys shine some light to our listeners and viewers about the Couples Journal?
Yeah. So actually, as you were talking about, this sort of where are we going in our relationships? We've been married almost 19 years, and we're sort of raised our kids. We have one left. I was thinking that that would be a great place for you guys to start, which is really, really pinpoint what are the values that you both come together with. We have individual values, and then we have couples values. What's important? So if family is important, that got to go in there. And you start to make some goals around what you want to do in the future. So we often have couples, sort of set like where do they want to go next, financial goals, when do they want to retire, parenting goals, we want to do, help our kids be more independent and those kinds of things. So really digging into kind of what's next for you guys. I think goal setting would be perfect. The journal is set up to have whatever kind of goals you want, and then also create check-ins for couples so that they're not just making a goal 1 year and then forgetting about it, but really coming back to it.
Yeah, we look at and Julie was the one who started this with us however many years ago it's been. I rolled my eyes. I'm like, I do not want to sit down and write, it's just not for me. But she was 100% right. And what we sort of did was we sort of looked at two different categories, right? It's those that are achievable, that we know we can get to, and then those that are more aspirational that may not be gotten to in a year or two, would be longer. Like you're talking about, maybe this condo in New York, or I want to build this little place at the beach, whatever it may be. That might not be something this year, but might be something that you work to. And it's great to do because yes, you're putting goals down, you're putting thoughts down, but here's what it does: it connects you. It forces you to sit down. Every other Sunday or whatever you decide to do, here's where we were, here's where we are, have a drink, don't have a drink, have a cup of coffee, whatever it is you do to relax. You're talking about sitting in your chairs. It's a perfect time, and it forces folks to talk and communicate and connect. And that's at the end of the day, that's what keeps people together. And that's what you guys have been able to do, even though you said Rob, you said earlier, maybe we didn't do it as much or we didn't do it at all. But in fact, you were, as Julie said, you were doing it.
Right.
You wouldn't be sitting here if you didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Listen up, everybody. Once again, I say this every time. There's moments I think about, is this my last season? But, I have these amazing conversations with some of my amazing friends, and be able to bring my husband along with me. It continues to make sure that we do this again, because I hope each and every one of you actually get something out of it. Guys, what I would like to see you do is a family journal, where maybe, bringing the family in, and maybe, as the kids get, even the younger kids, to be able to write down, we have this thing, and I write about it in my book, called the Family Forum, where the kids are able to sit down and really tell how they feel without any, consequences whatsoever. And I think, what a way to connect. How do our listeners and viewers get a hold of both of you?
Sure. Our website is www.thebulitts.thebulitts. We're at the Bullits on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and we are the Bullits on YouTube. Our podcast, which just launched in January, is Conversations for Couples, the podcast, on all platforms. And we are just having except for the one episode that we talked about, we're having a real good time doing it.
I
Yeah.
love that. I absolutely love that. Listen up, everybody. The way is that, one of the key things that I took away from us having this interview was the word that really stuck to me, and that is communication. And no matter whether you're adopting, you're fostering, you're a couple, you're single, communication is truly how we make our relationships within the world go further, how we make it go longer. We're going to make sure that we have all the links, to my friend's amazing books. We're going to keep you all updated. This is not the last time that you see our friend Julie and David. If you tune in to Fox 5, you can always catch them on Fox 5. They're one of the special guests that are always there with our amazing friends over at Fox. But Julie, David, I just want to say thank you from the Scheers. Thank you for being our friends. We love the fact that we get together and we could just talk, because we do consider you both such friends of ours, and I can't wait for us to have dinner real soon. Listen up,
Looking
everybody.
forward to it.
Once again, this is another amazing episode of Fostering Change. I hope each and every one of you understand my husband does exist because he is right here. But I do hope that each and every one of you understand that each of us have a responsibility, and that is responsibility is to make sure that we go out and we be good humans. Take care, everybody. Hey, everybody, it's Rob Scheer, the founder of Comfort Cases, and thanks for tuning in to Fostering Change. You can actually watch a couple of episodes right here